Yes, you sitting right there have roughly the exact same number of hair follicles as a chimpanzee. I know, right? It sounds completely absurd when you look in the mirror, but it's an absolute biological truth. Literally the exact same number.
So that instantly begs a pretty obvious question. If we share this exact same underlying biological trait, why on earth do chimps look like walking fur coats while we, well, don't? Except, of course, for one very glaring, highly specific patch of thick hair that grows right on some of our faces.
And look, this isn't just some trivial quirk of human biology. It's actually one of the strangest evolutionary mysteries out there. For over a century, scientists couldn't even agree on the answer. To really figure this out, we've got to zoom out first. We need to investigate the massive disappearance of the rest of our fur. Because, you can't really explain the beard without first explaining how we ended up naked everywhere else.
The story really starts making sense when we look at the research of anthropologist Nina Jablonski. Picture this. Around 3 million years ago, our early ancestors were mostly ambush predators. Hide in the brush, wait, and then strike. But by 2.5 million years ago, a massive behavioral shift happens. We became persistence hunters. Instead of hiding, we started actually chasing down prey across the blazing hot African grasslands for hours on end, just waiting for the animal to literally collapse from exhaustion. And right after that shift, around 2 million years ago, bam, we see the dramatic loss of our body fur.
Think about it. Running for hours under a scorching sun completely flips your survival priorities upside down. Overheating? That will kill you incredibly fast. Starvation, on the other hand, is a much slower process. So when you're running a literal marathon in the savannah just to get your dinner, a thick coat of fur trapping all your body heat is basically a death trap.
To survive, our bodies pulled off this incredible biological trade-off. We swapped out that thick fur for millions, literally millions, of sweat glands. This gave us a built-in evaporative cooling system, and it works so incredibly well that it makes humans the absolute sweatiest mammals on planet Earth. Without the fur getting in the way, the air could finally hit our wet skin and cool our blood down.
But here's our massive contradiction, the whole point of this explainer. If losing our hair was entirely about staying cool, why on earth did one thick, bushy patch of heat-trapping hair just stay put? And not just anywhere, mind you, but right over the vital blood vessels on the lower face and neck.
Just look at the other hair we kept. It actually makes perfect survival sense. Scalp hair acts like a built-in hat, protecting the top of your skull from the blistering sun. Eyebrows and eyelashes, they're like perfect little awnings, keeping salty sweat and dirt from blinding us while we're sprinting. But the lower face and jaw, that's a total mystery. A beard absolutely does not help you run faster. It definitely doesn't help you cool down. Actually, scratch that, it does the exact opposite. Charles Darwin himself spotted this exact discrepancy way back in 1871. He looked at the human beard and realized something crucial. If a trait offers absolutely zero physical survival advantage and might even be a slight disadvantage in the heat, it had to serve an entirely different purpose. He concluded that natural selection wasn't driving this bus at all.
Instead, Darwin theorized it was what biologists call sexual selection. This happens when a trait sticks around, not because it helps you live longer or escape a hungry lion, but simply because it helps you get chosen by mates. Or, alternatively, it helps you intimidate your rivals. Darwin basically proposed that the beard was never a survival tool. It was an ancient, highly visible biological advertisement.
So what we've got here are two completely separate evolutionary forces literally battling it out over human skin for millions of years. In one corner, natural selection, stripping the hair away almost everywhere to keep us cool and alive. And in the other corner, sexual selection, keeping the hair thickly clustered in one very specific spot on males just to send a message of status.
And guess what? We actually have modern data to back this up now, something Darwin never had. Evolutionary researcher Barnaby Dixson ran these amazing studies where people judged photos of men with varying amounts of facial hair. And the data? It is incredibly consistent. Clean-shaven men are generally rated at a baseline, kind of neutral level for social traits. But the second you add a full, thick beard, those perceived traits just skyrocket. Viewers consistently rate heavy beards as more dominant, more mature, and more capable of defending resources.
Now, the really fascinating part is why we universally tend to judge bearded faces that way. It's definitely not just some arbitrary cultural fashion trend. The beard acts as biology's billboard. It is quite literally broadcasting what is happening underneath the skin to everyone around you.
Let's break down exactly how this billboard works on a biological level. Step 1. The skin on the human jaw and chin has a vastly higher density of androgen receptors than almost anywhere else on the body. Step 2. Because of this crazy density, testosterone directly triggers hair growth in that specific area, which leads us to Step 3. A thick beard provides an instant, highly visible readout of the exact hormonal signaling happening inside that man's body.
Think about why that would be an absolute game changer. Long before complex spoken language, and definitely before our ancestors could just run a quick blood panel in a lab, early humans lived in small tribal groups. They desperately needed a way to instantly size up allies and rivals. The face? It provided instant tribal data. You could look at a man across the campfire and instantly get a rough biological read on his maturity and hormonal profile, all before a single word was ever spoken.
Plus, researchers have pointed out a truly fascinating secondary layer to all this. Thick facial hair likely worked as passive physical protection. Think about it. A thick beard acts as a slight but definitely meaningful buffer against blows to the jaw. Back in ancient social hierarchies, hand-to-hand conflicts were a huge part of establishing dominance. Now, the beard wasn't a literal suit of armor, but it provided just enough of a cushion to maybe give you an edge during a fight. Which brings us right out of the prehistoric savanna and directly into your bathroom mirror today. This incredible complex visual signal took millions of years of brutal evolutionary push and pull to develop. And yet, millions of men stand at the sink every single morning and mindlessly shave the whole shebang off in under 2 minutes flat.
Really think about what that means. Whether you're taking a razor and shaving it perfectly clean, or you're sitting at the barber meticulously styling this massive lumberjack beard, you are consciously editing a deep, prehistoric evolutionary signal. It's a signal your body is desperately trying to broadcast. Your ancient ancestors never really had a choice in what their biology communicated, but you do.
So, here's my question for you. The next time you look in the mirror to trim, shave, or just admire your own facial hair, take a second to ask yourself, we lost all our fur to survive the heat, but we kept this one very specific patch. What prehistoric message are you choosing to broadcast to the world today? Are you silencing biology's billboard, or are you letting it speak loud and clear? It's pretty wild to think about, right?